We start with education, and it is a right for every child, but for some it takes more courage and hard work to enjoy that very constitutional right. For 6-year-old Umaru Abdullahi of Namasa in the Atani district of the Bonafri region, that struggle means crawling to school daily. But as Jojo Kobna reports, Umaru does so with so much pride, wearing so much of a broad smile.
Umaru does not want to be left behind. 2 months ago, he took a bold step of crawling to reach his destiny. His grandmother said she kept him at home because of the distance from the house to the government school. But after constant nagging, the grandmother gave up and enrolled him at a private Islamic school. There are no chairs, no tables, and the floor is also dusty. Yet children find this place a home for learning. Umaru always wears a smile. He crawls 20 minutes to school. His headmaster says he has never seen a child so hungry for education. So he admitted him for free.
He comes to school always a very promising child. He's very intelligent. He answers all questions perfectly well. As much as any other child of, normal distance does. And at times, if you weigh his intelligence, you see that he's a little more intelligent than most of them. At times, you see it will rain. And we took pity in him that if he is to go to school, how he will walk or crawl in the muddy, on a muddy ground like that. We took pity in him.
After school, he crawls on the hot, dusty ground back home. Umaru is not deterred by his disability. He walks gradually into his future, and he does not allow his physical disability to hinder him. What Umaru needs now is a wheelchair so that he can easily go to school and come back home. He greets his grandmother and shares what he learned at school. Though the camera makes him shy, he never loses his smile. Umaru's grandmother, Amina, wants government and other benevolent organizations to come to their aid. The Tyne District Director of Education, Na Francis Chilaku Sigdi, says after identifying children with special needs, funding to help them becomes problematic.
The only obstacle is that when we identify, but the sponsorship to send them to the appropriate quarters becomes a problem. So my special education coordinator, who happened to be the disabled vice chairman, is also lobbying with the other NGOs outside to come in to sponsor these children.
But until benevolent people come to Umaru's aid, he will continue crawling to have a good future. Jojo Kobna, Joy.
So what's your own story? Do you have any excuses anymore? After hearing that story, what's your excuse? Great motivation for us this morning. We'll turn attention to some other stories, and water supply to Eastern Accra is expected to normalize following the completion of major rehabilitation works at the Pond water treatment plant. The plant was shut down on Thursday, February 27, 2014, to allow contractors undertake critical pipeline interconnections.
The shutdown last week was to allow contractors undertake critical pipeline interconnections for the bigger project, which is expected to be completed in 3 months. The station manager, Ebo Akwando, explains the work done so far.
Yeah, over the 4 days, we're able to connect the new pipe which has been laid, which is 1,800 millimeters, to an existing fiberglass pipe. We are upgrading the intake system, which requires that we are going to abstract more raw water, which requires that also that we have to create a bigger pipe to be able to carry the extra water that will be abstracted. Operations are completed. Like I said, we started operating yesterday till this morning, so water started flowing since yesterday.
This is the new 1.8-meter sea pipeline constructed, and this is to provide an additional of 12.3 million gallons of final water per day. He added, the operations, when completed, will enable the facility produce water each day to serve Accra's rural areas.
Originally, we were abstracting 50, and the upgrading of the intake pump is going to add additional 40 million gallons per day to improve our supply system to Dodua, Pampram, Afienya, Akwamufie, and then the Akwapim Ridge.
He further outlined some projects which will increase water supply in the capital.
Other measures we are putting in place to improve the supply system to Accra. We have contracted China Gazuba Group Company. They are doing 40 million gallons to serve to Accra, and that will add to Accra system. It will add 40 million through Dodua to Okponglo. It will add about 40 million gallons. In all, by December, if all the projects are finished, we are going to add about, that is 52.3 million gallons to the existing 44.5 that we do.
Matilda Pamagan for Joy News, Bon, Accra.
Displaced residents of Ajekwejo may not have been in the news for a while, but that does not quite mean their problems are over. Security men have again moved to the area, demanding residents leave to make way for the place to be leveled.
Although many of the residents have left the area, others still live in the area and are seeking shelter from an uncompleted building. According to them, several attempts by armed security men to forcefully eject them from the land has left many of them in a state of fear and shock, since Parliament has just started investigation into the matter.
The soldiers came around telling us that we should vacate the area. We did not get it clear. Since the issue is under investigation, but also we don't have anywhere to go. No one gives us money to go and rent room, nor giving us a place to, use as a shelter.
So how are you surviving? For be by. I almost say, I want to say into Feha, and she and Lucy attends. Nayanko, and then Monday, on my bay, as you might be with her. Oh, say I double to her. On the 10 to Suyan to 10 to I got some saying to me to 2 and then I see.
Meanwhile, the Parliamentary Select Committee has invited residents to appear before it on Wednesday, March 5, 2014. Matilda Pamagan for Joy News, Accra.
Now, students of Wa Senior High School in the Upper West region have demanded that the school authorities temporarily close down the school as a result of the death of some 2 students last week. Apart from the 2 deaths, the students are also worried about what happens to, or what appears to be a plague which sees a number of their mates being rushed to hospital on a daily basis. As Rafiq Salam reports, the authorities have, however, refused to shut down the school and rather urged them to seek the face of God.
The death of the 2 students started as a rumor. This, coupled with a number of students rushed in and out of hospital, caused fear and panic forcing students to demand temporal closure of the school to investigate recent happenings. To ensure nerves are calm and the situation brought under control, the student body was assembled at Assembly Hall to be addressed by school authorities and members of the PTA. Speaker after speaker pleaded with them to exercise restraint as they work on the issue, but they would not budge.
All things that are happening, all the rumors, God will answer our prayers. Our living God will answer our prayers. And I know God of Abraham, God of Jacob, God of Isaac, God of Prophet Joseph will answer our prayers.
The student leadership was also brought in to talk to them, to which they finally agreed and turned the school into a prayer camp led by the Christian faith groups on campus. Their Muslim counterparts also gathered at the dining hall for Quranic recitation and the counting of rosary. This they both did and kept vigil till the early hours of Monday morning. Rafiq Salam's report.
We'll have to stay with education as the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition wants government to take another look at the feasibility of the free compulsory universal basic education program before deciding to implement its progressive free SHS policy next year. Executive Council Chairman of the group, Bright Appiah, at a press briefing in Accra, reiterated the current challenges in implementing the FQ program, which he said should serve as enough motivation for government to map out strategies to use in implementing the free SHS policy.
President Mahama's free SHS policy announcement during the State of the Nation's address in Parliament has generated heated debate among various segments of society. Whereas the opposition MPP is of the view that the president has stolen the idea of their 2012 presidential candidate, some civil society groups are questioning how realistic and sustainable the policy is. The latest group to join in the debate is the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition. The group wants government to use the FQ program as a yardstick to determine the feasibility of the progressive free SHS policy.
How is government able to finance the free compulsory basic education? That's the question that we need to ask. And then also ask how government is also going to finance the free SHS. There's no policy that cannot happen. I think that we need to discuss the various issues that will be an impediment in the implementation of that policy, and then come to a reasonable conclusion as to how we want to move forward. And what we are saying is that all the roadmap that government is going to do in the implementation of that policy should involve civil society, should involve the media, should even involve communities. And then to inform us that this is the way you want to do it, so that we follow through. We don't want a situation where, in terms of implementation of that policy, everything will be on an ad hoc basis.
The group also wants government to address the challenges that are peculiar to teacher deployment and the several ghost names present in the payroll of teachers.
We are also concerned that the question of ghost names on the payroll and delay in processing allowances for newly posted teachers have also not been fully addressed. We believe that there are a lot of ghost names on our payrolls and that have accounted for some issues that we are confronted with. And more so too, if you look at the new teachers that have been posted to the rural communities, there are also delays in terms of processing the little allowances that we give them. And these two issues, we think that we need to pay attention to it and have it as a priority.
The coalition is also of the view that government must take a second look at the complex bureaucracy of basic education management. These bureaucracies, according to the group, has resulted in delays in management decisions and weak performance monitoring systems in basic schools. Decentralizing the process, according to the group, is the way forward.
Well, meanwhile, President John Mahama has cut a salt for work to begin on the construction of the 50 free senior high schools he promises government will build each year of his 4-year term in office. The president at the ceremony in Nyanwa in the Upper West Achim district of the Eastern region told the cheering crowd the first batch of students to be admitted into the school, which he hopes will be completed by August next year, will not pay any fees. Reacting to report about the source of funding for the proposed progressive free-day SHS pledge, the president assured funding will be made available in the 2015 budgets. He also indicated that the contractors engaged have been asked to ensure they make use of local inputs.
Well, meanwhile, the president says those criticizing the Minister of Education for saying she does not know the source of funding for the proposed free SHS education policy should indeed leave her alone. Addressing a gathering at Nyanwa in the Upper West Achim district of the Eastern region to break the ground for the construction of the 50 new community day senior high schools, President Mahama said he should be held responsible for raising funds needed to complete the community senior high school projects.
My administration remains committed to helping all parents to educate their children in an affordable manner by making secondary education progressively free as enshrined in Article 25 of our 1992 Constitution. The beginning of the roadmap for free SHS will begin in the 2015-2016 academic year. So it means that these first batch of schools will be ready for the admissions of the 2015-2016 academic year, which will be based on the free SHS concept. And so the children who will be admitted in September 2015 into this Kwaba Nyanwa Community Day Secondary School will not pay any school fees. My attention has been drawn that some of the media say my Minister of Education says she doesn't know where the money is coming from. My Minister of Education was given a job to produce a roadmap for the progressive introduction of free SHS. She has done that job. She has costed it. We don't know how much it's going to cost. And she has presented it to Cabinet. It is my duty as the President of the Republic of Ghana to make the funds available for the free SHS to take off. It is not the duty of my Minister of Education. And I want to inform those who want to know where the money is coming from that they should wait for the presentation of the 2015 budget. If they look in the budget and they don't find allocation for free SHS, then they can raise that issue.
And we stay with the subject of free SHS. Founder of the Progressive People's Party, the PPP, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum, has applauded the decision of President Mahama to roll out free senior secondary education in the 2015-2016 academic year. He says he's all for the challenge taken up by the president. The president has been sharply criticized by the opposition New Patriotic Party for stealing its idea. But Dr. Indum, in a statement on Monday, said it does not matter who espoused first the free SHS program.
Well, we'll have to look at industry, and the Association of Ghana Industry says Ghana remains one of the most expensive countries to do business in West Africa. And according to the AGI, it is unprofitable to do business in Ghana for the current fiscal period. The president of the AGI, James Asarejay, lamented the continued high price of consumables, the constant high interest rates, and while access to credit by businesses is also a big challenge. The association is therefore urging government to address the challenges in the economy in earnest. President of the AGI, James Asariye, in an interview with an Accra-based radio station, said Ghana is no more attractive for business.
Well, the head of banking supervision in charge of microfinance at the Bank of Ghana, Raymond Amanfo, says the bank is set to prosecute microfinance companies that do not secure deposited funds. He says the central bank is also working on a deposit insurance package for depositors across the financial divide by close of the year.
The proliferation of microfinance companies coupled with the collapse of many of these companies has raised the concerns about the safety of depositors' funds. Several clients indulge the services of these microfinance institutions owing to their attractive interest rates, but a number of them have millions of cedis locked up as many of the microfinance institutions have folded up. But the central bank says they do not have control over the interest rate these institutions charge, and hence the need for depositors to be vigilant.
So the central bank doesn't fix any rate for anybody, but what we are saying that those rates must be realistic. Anybody who want to deposit, you must first look at the rates that you are being offered. Ask yourself, how sustainable is this rate for this institution? When you have rates in excess of about going to about 50%, they paying you 50% interest on your deposit, and then you begin to wonder, how is he going to deploy this money to be able to pay you the return on that investment? So I think it's critical for people who want to deposit to know that the higher the person promises you to pay the interest, the greater risk you are, because risk profit goes with risk. So if you are prepared to take a very high interest, then you should know that you are putting your money at a very high risk.
He contends most of the institutions folding up are from the regime where the central bank was not giving licenses to the sector. The Bank of Ghana, according to Raymond Amanfo, has already declined 120 licenses and is still prosecuting quack microfinance companies to protect depositors' funds.
What we've been doing is that we know there are a few of them which even couldn't see the day of light, and they are with the police, about 7 of them. They are currently under investigation. Some of the directors and things have been arrested and they are going under prosecution. Now, going forward, what we are trying to do is that we've stepped up supervision. For the last quarter to this quarter, at least, we've been able to look at about 100 or close to about 125 of them. Visit them, look at what they are doing. We are discussing a draft legislation on deposit insurance, and that will give some level of insurance to all depositors across the financial divide. But that is at a very early stage. We have to finish discussion for the AG, for Parliament, and so we are hoping that by close of year, at least we must get that deposit insurance. That will give some minimum, like insurance, it's like a third-party insurance. We can't pay everything, but depositors will be guaranteed a certain amount of deposits. Yeah.
He also made it clear that although they want to ensure strict enforcement, they will not make any move that will undermine legitimate microfinance institutions. Abigail Adomakwenchi for Joy News.
Ghana will on Thursday celebrate the 57th anniversary of its independence. The Independence Square in Accra, as usual, is undergoing some facelifts in readiness for the event.
On Thursday, the 6th of March, Ghana will celebrate 57 years after independence. And as part of preparations to mark the day, officials have already started carrying out repair works on some dilapidated portions of the square. The main gate leading to the square has received a fresh coat of paint, while the barricades also used to fence off the inner perimeter are being reinforced. Some visible cracks in the stands are also being mended in preparation for a fresh painting. The February 28th road and other ceremonial roads around the square are also getting similar treatment. The Electricity Company of Ghana has meanwhile also moved in to replace all the old street lights.
This is Independence Arch. It's part of the ceremonial road in Accra. And the poles here, the street light poles here, were concrete poles, and they have been dilapidated. They've been there for a very long time, and most of them were cracked and all that. It doesn't look beautiful. So here in particular, apart from getting the lights working, we are giving the street lights a facelift, replacing all the poles, bringing some more beautiful poles, and then improve the lighting here.
Officials say the square will be ready for this Thursday's anniversary parade.
Well, so thanks for staying with us for the latest news updates. And before we take a wrap on the news, please, let's just give you a wrap-up of our top stories for the morning. Water supply to Eastern Accra is expected to normalize following the completion of major rehabilitation works at the Pond Water Treatment Plant.
The Association of Ghana Industries says Ghana remains one of the most expensive places to do business in the ECOWAS sub-region, and we're being told that Ghana is no more attractive for business.
So that's what we have for the latest news. Please stay with us as Baba Tando will come in with the latest sports stories we have.
And sports is brought to you by Tigo
and Cowbell.
Yeah, stay with us.
Good morning, my name is Baba Tando. Thanks to Cowbell, we have the latest in the world of sports, and we begin from the Black Stars camp. And the last batch of players will arrive later today or this morning before Ghana takes on Montenegro away at the Stadium Podgorica inside Podgorica in Montenegro for a friendly match ahead of the 2014 FIFA World Cup. But some of the players have already arrived in camp, and they began their training session last night.
Black Stars technical team left the country for Puerto Rico for Wednesday's international friendly against Montenegro. The delegation is headed by coach Kwesi Appiah and his assistants Max Okunedu and Nassam Yakubu, with team manager Saban Quay also part of the team. This will give the delegation ample time to arrive before players start trickling in for the match. Only one home-based player, goalkeeper Stephen Adams, was part of them following his heroics at the Chan tournament in South Africa last month. Wednesday's friendly is expected to be played at Atlanta Georgia Dome, with both countries parading their potential World Cup squads for the encounter. The team started training this evening at the venue of the match.
Right, away from the Black Stars camp now, there's a plan for a succession development for the various players and national sports athletes in Ghana. Now, this follows the beginning of construction of a multi-purpose stadium in Cape Coast for various sporting disciplines. President John Mahama, together with the sports minister Elvis Ifiankra and other members of government, have been touring the site where the stadium is set to begin.
President John Dramani Mahama and Sports Minister Elvis Ifiankra over the weekend inspected work ongoing at the Cape Coast Stadium in the Central Region. The Ministry of Youth and Sports and the Chinese Embassy put pen to paper for the construction of a multi-purpose stadium in the region in December 2012. The $30 million project, which is financed by the Chinese grant, started in February 2013 by the contractor Jiangqi International Corporation for International Economic and Technical Cooperation and is expected to be completed early next year. The government has released a sum of 6.6 million Ghana cedis as government's commitment to the project. The 15,000-seater capacity stadium will cover a total landmark of about 15,800 square meters and will have 8 runway tracks, a football field with natural turf, 2 basketball courts and a handball court. It would also have an outdoor tennis court, a boxing training field, a gymnasium, athlete dormitory rooms, LED electronic display system and an audio system. According to the Minister of Youth and Sports, the project was part of the wish and flagship projects of the late President John Evans Atta Mills. The initial plan was to erect the goalposts for the stadium from east to west, but it had to be changed later from north to south as a result of the direction of the sun, necessitating the expansion and leveling of more ground for the construction. President Mahama promised his government will ensure the project is completed in time.
Now, there are fervent preparation measures being put in place ahead of the Commonwealth Games coming up in Glasgow later this year. Ghana's contingent is ensuring that nothing is left to chance in the preparation for a very good competition inside Glasgow.
Ghana will send 96 athletes to the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Glasgow, Scotland. The figure represents the 10 sporting disciplines that have been selected by the National Sports Authority to participate in the Games. Checks by Joy Sports reveal athletics will send a team of 30 athletes, 10 disabled sports athletes with amateur boxing, cycling, shooting and weightlifting having 8 representatives each. The information indicates that judo will be represented by 7 judokas, while badminton and table tennis send 6 players each. 5 swimmers will be on the parade. The number was influenced by recommendations from the participating associations and the technical committee of the planning committee. Apart from athletics, which will send 2 officials and 4 coaches, the remaining disciplines are expected to send 2 team officials and 2 coaches each. This brings to 139 the total number of athletes and officials to represent Ghana at the Games. The Commonwealth Games is scheduled between July 23 and August 3 this year.
Well, let's turn our attention to cricket. And over the weekend, Ghana hosted Nigeria in an international cricket friendly at the Achimota Cricket Oval.
This is not really the first time, because our club has been here on a friendly international some time ago, I think 1997 for the first time, and this is our second trip to Ghana. One of the motivations is to spread gospel of cricket in West Africa and to try to maintain the culture, because cricket, as I said, as most people know, is good for youth development. Cleanliness, timeliness, things like that.
I think it's been a very beautiful game. Before the game started, I thought the Nigerians were going to give us a hard time, but it looks like we're matching them bat for bat, and I'm quite impressed with the play of the Ghanaians. The game is not as developed as it is in Nigeria, and so to be able to match the a top Nigerian club, I think Titans has done a great deal.
And just before I take leave of you, Sir Alex Ferguson believes David Moyes will be a success at Manchester United and should be given time to improve the team. Moyes has been widely criticised for the job he has done at Old Trafford since replacing Ferguson at the helm during the summer. United, who are not playing this weekend, are 7th in the Premier League table, trailing leaders Chelsea by a huge margin of 18 points and are on the verge of Champions League elimination following their 2-0 defeat to Olympiacos in Athens. And that will do it for sports for this morning. My name is Baba Tando. Sports on the AM show is proudly brought to you by Carl Bell. The AM show continues after this break. Do stay on.